Okay, hello. Welcome to Angel NV4. This is the Entrepreneur Bootcamp portion of the Angel NV conference, which ends up with at least one Nevada company receiving a $200,000 investment that is then matched by the state for a total of $400,000. Every time before this, we've raised more than $200,000. So we've been able to invest in two companies at varying levels, but the company that wins the competition for the hearts and minds of the investors through due diligence is guaranteed $200,000. And then the last 2 years, what the angels have decided is that the second company gets whatever's left over. So in one case, it was 140,000. In another case, it was 175,000. So we actually do this. We actually invest in Nevada companies. So welcome to this portion of it. We have the schedule here. We're starting, today is October 10th, and we go every Tuesday into January, except we take off Thanksgiving week, and we take off the last 2 weeks of December and the first week of January, because I'm really murky on whether the first falls on a Monday, so is the second a holiday? I'm not sure. So that's why we skipped that week, and we're back here on January 9th. And you can see that we move along to a lot of different topics, and we also have 3 different opportunities for you to practice pitching. So this is a 1-minute pitch, which is probably the hardest pitch that you'll do. In each of these sessions, the people are voted on by all of the other people, and the top vote getters, about 3 of them, will get to do a 3-minute pitch. And the 3-minute pitch is your first opportunity with the investors. So not everybody will get to do the 3-minute pitch. When the investors get together, they start in January, they have a full day of education, and then we start in on the companies that apply. And they are divided into teams, and they're looking at maybe 8 to 10 companies each team. And from that, they're looking at the application and deciding if this is a company that they want to pursue. So we're gonna probably get down to about 16 companies that we hear a 3-minute pitch from. And then the angels all vote. It's very egalitarian. We have leaders who have done this investing before, but the idea is to get the angels engaged so that they're making decisions about which companies they want to push forward. So we go from 16 to 10. The 10 companies get to do a 10-minute pitch, and then the angels will decide which 6 companies they want to pursue to do due diligence on. And they will spend 5 weeks doing due diligence on those companies. And then we take a little straw poll right before our finale, which this year is April 27th. It will again be over at City Hall. And the straw poll is not necessarily indicative of how things are going to go on that Saturday. So we do the pitches again on Saturday in front of everybody, and then the angels retire to a room, and that's when they do their voting for who gets the $200,000 investment. And once that decision is made, if there's more money left over, they will have already decided how they're going to split that up, and they will do another vote on the remaining companies to see who will get the second investment. So it's very exciting. It's kind of a long process because, you know, even though you're starting with it now, it won't be concluded until the end of April, but there will be an investment, at least one, at that time. So now I am pleased to introduce Rukshana Hussain, who is one of our marketing people and operations people, and she's going to be one of the facilitators for this course. And today she's going to be talking about who is your customer and how do you validate them.
So today's an interesting conversation. It's really about understanding your customer and the questions to ask. So I'm going to use an interesting scenario. So who is your customer? Customer discovery research. We're going to go through some things like survey questions about problem, concept statement of solution, survey questions about solution, and buying intention. So in this scenario, for all the guys out there, you're going to learn something new that is going to be useless information. For most of the girls out there, I think you'll be able to relate to kind of the scenario I'm going to use throughout this session today. So, problem survey. Did you ever notice? Do you see this as a problem? Where and when do you experience it? How often do you experience it? How do you deal with this? How interested on a scale of 1 to 10? In an easier or in an easier solution, who else do you know that experiences this issue? So here is my example. So for me, just as an example, I like makeup. I like, I'm a girl. I like going to Sephora. I like going to all these places and buying makeup. But for a period of time, it took me about a good year to find a good color match for makeup for my skin. So my problem in this scenario is, did you ever notice? So I noticed that when I go to a store, it was very, very hard to color match makeup. So what I'd end up doing is, using the sample, taking the bottle home, returning it. It was a whole issue. Do you see this as a problem? Yes, I do. But apparently I'm not the only one, right? Most women will go through this, some men as well. A lot of different makeup artists that will have to, makeup artists sell mix shade, but that'll end up going to the store, purchasing a product that they think that looks great. They get it home, get it on the skin, get it in natural light. They're like, oh no, this is completely off. Where and when do you experience it? When you get home and you try the makeup on. How often do you experience it? Well, I spent about $1,000 on makeup over a year and they're returning it. So that's a thing. How often do you deal with this? Well, it depends. Everybody's a little different, right? Depends on this scenario. How interested on a scale of 1 to 10 in an easier solution? I've actually talked to women about this, and more often than not, every woman that I've spoken to has had the same issue at some point in their life. Who else do you know that experiences this issue? Almost anybody that wears makeup in this scenario. So how long should you wait for the solution to work? How much time are you willing to invest in learning to use the solution? What else should the solution do? Are you willing to pay for an easier solution? How much are you willing to pay? If this is a one-time solution, how often are you willing to pay for it? So in the scenario that I'm giving you about makeup, the solution for this, how long should you wait for the solution to work? Well, literally it takes about 2 seconds, and I'll go through what the solution was, or finally what they came up with to solve for this. How much time are you willing to invest in learning to use the solution? And what else should the solution do? Are you willing to pay for it? So in this scenario, what somebody did is they created an app. And Lancome is one of those companies that created an app. What you do is you wash your face, stand out in the sun, take different angles. It makes you rotate with your camera so it can adjust for lighting, and then it'll pick your color shade. And it's almost spot on. So now rather than me going and buying 100 bottles of makeup, I now know what my color match is. Now taking that a step forward, what else should the solution do? They added to that. They also have, Sephora now has not only a system where you can color match your skin, but one that once you find perfect match. So for me, it's MAC C45. If I go into that app and type in MAC C45, it'll pull up every other brand that they sell that's a perfect match to that one color. So now it's expanded on, what it can do to provide different solutions. So are you willing to pay for an easier solution? How much are you willing to pay? If this is a one-time solution, how often are you willing to pay for it? So these are all different questions you really need to ask. Do they all relate to my scenario or the scenario I'm giving? No, but it depends on what you are or what your product or service is. Can I pause for any questions online before I continue? Okay, got it. If they're still paying attention. So now during the conversation while you're asking these questions to your potential customer, different people that you know, if they're still paying attention at this point after all the questions, I say just give them some alcohol. Motivates everybody. How would you change the solution? Would you consider being an early tester of the product? If not the solution for you, do you think it solves a problem for what others, and who are they? Where would you be expected to find this product or purchase it? So I'm going to stop and just ask a few questions here, just to people in the room and some people on the line, online. And guys, I really want you to get involved. I know this isn't something, but I guarantee you didn't know that this was a problem until I just brought it up about this whole makeup scenario. Now that you know that there's that solution out there, are you more likely to purchase from a store that can do a perfect match through an app like that? Or are you going to go into a Walmart and try to find a makeup and consistently go through different products until you find it? You are asking these questions to anybody, your friends, anybody around you. So this is all research or market research, product research for what you're trying to do. So Maggie, maybe you can add to that.
This is ideally done before you build the product. This is after you have your idea and before you put too much effort into building the product. You think it's a problem, you're trying to solve it, but is it a problem for other people? Will they be willing to pay for it? So that's what these questions are about. You are doing a survey to see if there really is a need for your product. Are you going to be building something that people want? And you may have the kernel of an idea, but by going out and talking to customers, then you will find out how they would tweak it and what they would pay for it. But you could come away from this after doing, and you have to talk to people you don't know. You could come away from polling these 25 people 2 times, deciding that you have got to find a new idea.
I think that's the next slide. Maybe not. We'll get there though. It's in one of the slides. So eventually, after asking some of these questions, as Maggie has stated, you may end up saying, okay, I'm running with this. I need to rework my product, or I just need to scrap it and start from the beginning. One thing to remember is ask open-ended questions to not lead. To get a response that you really want, try not to lead the person that you're asking the questions to. Just ask the question.
Yeah, so Zarara is online asking, from her experience, asking people if something is a good idea isn't going to work. Were any of those questions, was it a good idea?
No. It would, I think the closest one is, how would you change the solution?
Well, this is after you've decided to tell them what the solution is. All right, go back one more. In these first questions that you're asking, are any of them asking if it's a good idea? You haven't even shared your idea yet. You have to see if there's a problem that exists before you try to solve it.
So I think in the scenario that I was giving, in that case, the problem is trying to match makeup. Do you know if it's a problem? I didn't know I needed that app until I knew it existed. I knew it was a problem, but I mean, I didn't know there was a solution for it. Let's go back to here. So strengths. What did people like? Suggestions. What else should it do? Score, yes versus no versus not really. Price, a range of prices willing to pay and most common. So once you've asked your 25 people that are strangers all of the questions, go through these and try to figure out what you can put into each of these categories. Price ranges are a little tricky though, and I think Maggie, you know that best, that somebody may offer a product or a service that it's not a realistic price range. And the more people you talk to, you'll get different ends of the scale. More in the middle. Somebody says, oh yeah, I'd pay $5 for that. Somebody say, oh yeah, no, I'd pay 100. Somewhere in the middle is probably a good number to start from. I think we're going to get into a little bit of more of understanding how that works a little further on down our courses or during Angel NV. But just keep in mind, you know, even just keep track of what that kind of scale is as well. Use the customer's own words to describe the problem, describe how you solve it, describe why you solve it, describe why it's the best solution. I'm going to go back to my scenario. Use the customer's own words to describe the problem. So in my problem with the makeup, I've spent an enormous amount of money and time going to find a product that's trying to match my skin, right? So that was my problem. Describe how to solve it or how you solve it. In this case, they solved it by me not having to go to the store, me not having to purchase a million different products and returning them. I can do it from my sofa in a matter of 30 seconds. Describe why you solve it. Lancome was smart. I'm not sure if that was the first company that did it, but I guarantee you, I'm pretty sure it was Lancome. Whoever first started that makeup app, I guarantee you their sales went up just from that. because most people now, especially during COVID, you know, it's easier. People have adjusted to staying from home or staying at home. If you could go online from your sofa, do the makeup match, order the product right there. Once it finds it, says, okay, it's E76 is your color match. Would you like to order? Add to your basket. You're checked out. Apple Pay, whatever it is, you're good to go. Instead of going to the store and having a whole bunch of different people touch your face in your space, trying to match color. So that's just, you know, a scenario that I'm using that I feel like everybody would kind of understand. Describe why it's the best solution. The other solution in my scenario, or the scenario that I'm providing, is literally, like I said, you go to the store, you sit in a chair for about an hour, you try on different types of makeup. I don't know where that person's hand's been. I'm afraid to find out, or how many sponges have been on, you know, faces have been on that sponge. I don't know. I would much rather do it from the safety of my home without anybody touching my face. Tam Sam Song, but that's another story in 2 weeks. Maggie will explain this. Maggie, a little bit of background about Maggie. She is the queen of Tam Sam Song. I know she hates it when I say this, but literally she's the only person that can explain this in a sense that everybody gets. So Tam Sam Song can get confusing unless you know somebody who's really an expert behind it, and Maggie is your girl. Can we stop for a question?
Yeah, so let's go back to value propositions. And so could you describe what a value proposition is?
Maggie, could you describe what a value proposition is?
Okay, so a value proposition is 1 to 2 sentences that covers all those things.
Going back.
What you do, the problem in the words of your customers. That's why it's important to talk to them, because you can really hone in on what the problem is that you're solving. Not this one.
We'll go back.
Keep going. After you do all that summarization, you should be able to hone in on a value proposition that includes a couple sentences that describe the problem from the words of your customers, and then how you solve it, why you solve it, and why yours is the best solution. So I brainstormed with Logan earlier, and we have a few value propositions. So 2 that I'm going to give you are just my wishes for solutions to problems that I have. And it is, we have an AI app that can find your photos even from 10 years ago with a voice description. We do an interview to discover your family and friends and pets, and through an API to Google Photos, Flickr, Apple Photos, or Slidebox, and others, we catalog them using AI. You can also order prints of photos, all this for $5 a month. And that's why we're great. So that's one.
So one of these this is a app that does, basically they say that they are the world's smallest micro CRM. They bring intelligence from contacts to handshakes at your first meeting, specifically for business conferences. So what they're doing is they, broadly speaking, briefly speaking, the world's smartest micro CRM. So right in there, they encapsulate that they're not this giant enterprise level software needed by, it's not needed by the smallest organizations, it's often too expensive, but they can still help you maintain and expand your contacts and customer base really from the palm of your hand. Another organization that, or another startup is called LucyUp, and they make these curated videos that basically aggregate all your audiences or your team's recorded videos and aggregates them and quickly spits out a professionally made video. But their statement is LucyUp helps you craft stunning professional videos in just hours. So I think those are a couple of the examples, and we can post up a few more into the chats as well.
Yeah, here's another one. We are site charts. We are added to your website and make a visual flow chart of all the links on each page of your website. We do it in seconds and can jump to links or broken links from the visual interface. We do this for $10 a month. A lot of times price is not going to be the thing. The thing is going to be, like, for example, here's one from a company from Northern Nevada. We give governments insights into what their constituents want. We do the polling. We write the questions and we summarize the data and get it to you within 3 days of doing the poll. So there are three main things in there. They do the polling, they write the questions, and they get it done quickly. So those are three value factors that they have.
Does anybody here already have a product or service? Do you want to give an example of what your value proposition would be? And what you're thinking, you don't have to.
So again, our value proposition is we take customer obsessions by taking your customer conversations to automatically generate product insights.
I like that. Anybody else want to give it a go?
Yeah, so what we do is we pretty much enable 3D body scanning for pretty much anybody that shops for clothes or wants to track their body measurements. We take that data and we allow users to be able to shop online using their own individual scans as opposed to using AI to kind of generate stuff based off 4 data points.
Okay, so with your you make it so that their measurements fit into different manufacturers' sizing. So you can say, Louis Vuitton, does he make clothes or just purses? Okay, good. So I am not a fashion plate. So I was looking at Rukshana. Okay, so their size 6 would have certain dimensions to it. So are you planning to integrate to different or clothing manufacturers?
Yes.
To let people know what size they should buy in that particular line?
Yes.
And so, and going from haute couture like that down to like the Target brand.
Correct.
That'd be really cool.
That's what we're hoping people respond to it as.
Yeah. Yeah. So like never wear clothes that don't fit again, no
Correct.
matter where you're buying.
Even across the world where size and standards change,
Yes.
a certain distance is a certain distance no matter what country you're in.
Yeah, whether it's centimeters or inches, right?
Yep.
Click on this. Gary, I'm going to call on you first.
Okay.
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh, great. Thank you. That's easier than typing. I appreciate this. Thank you. So yeah, my company, Chops Live Animation, provides live interactive avatars that are designed to handle customer service interactions for businesses, large ones mainly. So my value proposition is helping solve or helping to change and disrupt the customer service experience for large companies.
Okay. That looks good.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. And they're truly interactive. They're AI based.
Right. Yeah, we've got it now to where they look really great, and they speak nicely with cool facial expressions. So it's kind of a breakthrough. Not a new business for us, but a kind of like a new approach into all new markets. So I'm thinking it's new and is worth investing in.
Interesting. Okay. Also, we have Zarara, and she's got a table reading screenwriting platform that helps writers bring their characters to life with the help of actors.
Oh, hello. So, with screenwriting, I realized that a lot of people struggle with writing dialogue and defining their characters. And, when you're beginning, when you're first writing, your dialogue kind of comes off as weird. And my platform helps writers rewrite their screenplays, but with actors.
So do the actors voice what the writer has written, or are they able to riff and
Yeah. So it's kind of like the writer and the actors, they go on like a Zoom call, and the writer listens to actors, act out their script, and with that they can help them with rewrites and basically writing better dialogue and maybe building characters, because sometimes when you talk to an actor, they can help you build, better characters and give you suggestions how you can improve.
That's interesting. Okay, how do you make money?
Oh, well, I was going to charge writers. So with each script that they bring in, I basically charge them each time well, with every script.
Okay, cool. So then, if they don't get, like, if they don't draw the actors out the first time, they're going to pay another time?
Well, actually, with every script, like each time they put in a script. So, like, let's say they have like a second script, they would have to pay again for like new actors to come in and bring their stuff to life.
Okay, that sounds fun, actually.
Yeah.
So I
Alright.
have a question. How long do you have something around how short the script should be? Can somebody send in like a 20, 30-page script and
Well, I haven't really finished like the pricing yet. So for like shorts, I was gonna charge like 50. For pilots, maybe like 100. For like movie scripts, which are huge and would possibly cost like a ton of money to
Yeah.
put together, I was thinking of like doing like contests. So writers submit their scripts for a chance to have their full movie script voice acted and stuff. Because in the screenwriting industry, there's a lot of contests and stuff involved.
so by the end of this, you're going to figure out your value proposition.
Yeah.
That is our goal, because that's a lot. There's a lot of thinking behind that. I mean, I think it's a great idea, but yeah, I could see how that would be extremely helpful.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to call on Laird because he raised his hand. So Laird, what is your value proposition?
Okay, great. Yeah, so our company provides a controlled environment, local, fresh produce, something that is delivered within 24 hours to either a home or restaurant. And we deliver this produce free of any type of chemical interaction, for example, pesticides, herbicides, things of that nature. So it's a much more healthy offering versus some of the other options you would get out in like the local supermarket, for example.
So it's bring the farmer's market to your door.
Exactly.
I like that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good line. Write it down.
Um,
Yeah, I got my notepad up right here. So,
and have you done any customer validation? Have you gone out and talked to people to see if they're interested? I'm sure people are interested in this. Have you?
Yeah, we have. So we are actively growing. So we have provided samples to around 50 restaurants here in the Las Vegas Valley, and the feedback we've collected is anything from just, hey, this is super fresh, and it's local, and we love to support local, all the way to, hey, this is an interesting idea. We don't have X, Y, Z, herb or something like that. Is it something you could grow? And the good news is, for the most part, it's yes. And then on the opposite side, direct to consumer, I think that the convenience, and then of course the local freshness has been well received, and at a price point that's lower than what you'd look at Whole Foods, but maybe a little bit more of a premium than like Smith's and Albertsons, for example.
It sounds like the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if I don't have to go to a farmer's market and like dodge children running at me.
We're children free here.
Okay.
So is this helping everybody in the room kind of understand, with all these different scenarios? So I think, sorry, Dave, give me 1 second. I think what the goal is listening to all these different scenarios and how people have put together their value proposition. Some of the questions that they've asked is a good example, and kind of, a good learning experience. I'm sure there are people here that are a bit more experienced in their journey as a startup and an entrepreneur. So you'll hear some people that probably are spot on about their value proposition. And I hope it really helps you guys form yours for anybody who's brand new to this, or newer. I don't want to say brand new, but newer.
And it's not a one-time deal. You're going to refine it as you refine your product. Okay, so Dave, tell us about your encryption.
As you know, or likely know, the MGM Grand lost $100 million in revenue a week ago, responding or through lack of response to a ransomware attack. We have a data encryption technology that stalemates all such attacks on first principles with unsurpassed capabilities in many dimensions. customers the size of the MGM Grand will be able to have an annual subscription for $250,000 plus contracting at commercial rates for support.
No support is included?
Well, there'll be like a day.
Okay. Thank you, David. If you can't sell that now, I don't know when you would be able to.
Yeah.
Tell that to Jeff and Maggie.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so there are a couple more people online. Kishore, do you want to talk or do you want me to read yours? So Kishore from Kishtar, address the disjointed solutions for small business. We have 18 SaaS modules which are integrated to help small businesses increase growth and profits. And Kishore, how many people have you talked to that need 18 different solutions integrated?
Hello.
Hi.
All right, so you can hear me. So
Yay.
I have a dual-pronged value proposition, I believe. So help me out here. It's a marketplace that brings together engagement ring buyers with independent jewelers, and the value proposition is it's going to save engagement ring buyers a lot of money by getting independent jewelers to bid on their, for their information and to give them the best ring for that price. So
Michael, welcome. You're in our Incubate Vegas. Good to hear you.
Yes. You'll get tired of hearing my pitch, I'm sure.
No, I promise you I won't, but keep going. Sorry.
I know I have to tell your boyfriend about the service. Yes.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Don't ask.
So Michael, who is your customer?
My customer.
Are you going to make some on each side?
I'm going to make some on each side.
Okay, and how do you reach? I think it would be easier to reach the jewelers, but
Right,
how do you reach into like all of the couples who want to get engaged? Because that's a lot of people. So
Correct.
in order to reach them, you're going to have targeted marketing in certain areas, and marketing is expensive, right? So you're going to have to decide, where do I start? Well, Vegas, there's a lot of people get married here. Maybe a good place to start.
Well, that the concept is that, or the next step was that the goal is to get 10 people a day online and then up to one person per state per day. That's would be an amazing goal to get there. But yes, to get the people, I have a large personal network that will support it and put it out there, as well as paid advertising and non-paid advertising, and PR. Like, I'm working with some great PR people, and we're not even up and running yet, but there are people that are interested in supporting the business nationwide from my personal contacts. So once it's released and, we do the PR and we do the initial marketing, obviously, that's where we're going to be able to save people money right away. And the jewelers that we decide that we're going to be working with are going to get, hopefully they're going to get orders right away. So not only, and they're going to get business they wouldn't have otherwise, is what my selling point to the jewelers is.
And so are these commercial jewelers who are only buying already made?
No, these are independent jewelers. The target is an independent jeweler who's been in business for 50 years or more, and the third generation jeweler's in charge or is in the employ of the business. Because the third generation jeweler understands that, much like car sales, people are not going into the jewelry store anymore to buy their jewelry, they're doing it online. And the older generations are still stuck on, if I can bring them into the store, then I'm going to get them to sell, spend more than their budget when they walk out. And that's and while the newer generations understand the jewelry business, they also understand that online is where the market is shifting.
Okay, so Michael,
yes.
Have you done market research to determine how many third generation jewelers there are in this country?
I have not.
Okay, so once you do that research, you may have to change your mind about how many generations you're willing to accept.
Okay. Do you mean, well, and that is a fact that there are 3,000 jewelers that go out of business every year, or two independent jewelers that go out of business. So, you know, they might not be around that long. You're right. And I mean, that's absolutely a correct assumption of mine that I need to verify.
Right. So this process of customer validation, it's really product validation too. So we have the idea. We need to see if there are other people who have the same problem that perhaps our solution starts to solve in a different way, because one of your competitors is people doing nothing. And there may be people who, when you ask them how painful is this problem, they say, well, I can live with it, and I've lived with it for this long, I can continue to live with it. So then your solution has to be motivating to them, to make them want to make that change and to part with some cash to get your solution, because it's, 30 times faster, it's 10 times cheaper than what is out there. So doing nothing, inertia, that is often a competitor.
And
Sam.
you mean on the jeweler side, right? And then on the
I was talking in generalities, actually.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Michael. We're going to move on to Sam. Go ahead, Sam. Tell us about your value proposition.
Mic check, mic check.
We got you.
Gotcha.
Good deal. For Logan, yes, I found out that cough drops work well for the allergies around here. I've been here 3 years recently. My value proposition and my pitch is a platform called doyouknowthem.com that would specifically give the job seeker the ability to rate and rank recruiters. I actually interviewed quite a few recruiters in the last few weeks. Most of them love the idea. If you think about your Glassdoors and your LinkedIn, there is a significant amount of, let's just say, unscrupulous recruiters in-house and vendors running around. 9 times out of 10, well, let's say maybe even less, 40% of the time, your information is being given to someone that may be a foreign national and collecting your PII. The recruiters I spoke to were not aware of a lot of the problems that I've seen moving from California and Silicon Valley.
Okay, and how are you going to make money?
Charging the job seeker a subscription. So the first few thousand will have a freemium, and it'll be a tiered service. The higher tiered service will provide guidance and resume guidance, something similar to what LinkedIn should have been doing, with providing guidance to some of the young people getting out of school attempting to find their careers.
Okay. So you're going to protect the job seeker from unscrupulous recruiters who can steal their personal information?
Correct.
Okay.
Think about
about
Yelp. Think about Yelp. When you wish to go to dinner somewhere, you look at Yelp to see what the rating of that restaurant is. Most of us do that. Is that your experience as well?
Oh, okay. So you're crowdsourcing opinions about recruiters.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Bruce, I just asked you to unmute.
Yeah, I just did. Can you hear me?
We do.
Yeah. So we own Luxury Realty Group. It's Las Vegas based for 20 years, actually, specializing in luxury real estate. We also own Telega Systems, a real estate software company. For many years, we've heard the value proposition is our luxury home clients have complained forever that the ability to search for the details in high-end homes, especially custom homes, have been impossible, whether it's on portals like Zillow or regular real estate websites. Likewise, today you see pictures and music of homes, but people learn very little about them. And thirdly, the backstories that went into creating those homes are totally never told. And that all enhances for the buyer a much higher value opportunity. What we're doing for the solution, and actually we're in beta test right now, is we're actually created a complete AR, changed the whole brokerage into being AI based. We'll be having an avatar of conversational AI, machine learning, generative AI, and machine vision all brought together, where the user, instead of getting on like a Zillow today, they'll actually be talking and engaging with the avatar, who will learn their search criteria. We'll refine it over time and actually come back and present, as it learns more about the person, properties that may well suit them. And there's a lot more to this. Avatar will actually do walking tours through the home, and it'll actually present the backstories if those people list with our brokerage. More to it than this, but just wanted to give you a snapshot.
Actually, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's not very succinct. So as a snapshot, it's still an 8 by 10. Can you get it to a 2 by 3?
I didn't follow you.
So you're too broad. Can you?
Oh, so basically, well, what will happen is you will go on as the user, and you'll actually be doing, a buyer side will be searching for properties, and the avatar will be engaging with them to learn their search criteria. And it will then over time learn more about that and help them find the properties they look for. So it'll be superior to what they could do on Zillow. And also, when there's a home to tour, which they can do through the avatar process, the avatar bring up properties, show them, they'll pick the ones they want more interested information on, and then the avatar will actually take them on a home tour that actually educates them about the property, not just showing pictures and music, as well as presenting the backstories to those homes, and set up appointments and do other things as well.
Who's putting in the backstories?
So our agents, because our money comes from commissions, so our luxury real estate agents will actually be interviewing the home sellers extensively to collect things like they have a 48-inch wide stainless steel built-in refrigerator, which you can't search for that today. And they'll be learning the backstories that went into those homes. It usually takes 6 to 9 months of the architectural process to go through this, and a lot of passion went into it that never gets told. And all that will be captured and actually fed to the AI software.
Okay, I would recommend that you keep working on this to get it down into about 2 sentences, something that's catchy. Like, with our AI, you can know what the name of your granite in the kitchen is.
Good point.
Or where it came from. Just that you're going to have all of the details.
Right.
How thick is the wood that's on the floor?
Well, even high vis ceilings, and do you have stacking sliders? I mean, the detail list is huge.
Yeah, so you should be able to come up with a catchy phrase that lets the high-end buyer know that you've invested a ton of time finding out every single detail about that luxury home, and that they're not going to find another source that has all the information. That you are the home authority.
Yeah, that's exactly on point.
So real quick before we move on to the next slide, I have a resource for you. His name is Randy Char. He's got a lady that works for him, luxury real estate. He's the president of Sotheby's Las Vegas. She does those videos online right now. She does a phenomenal job. I will connect with you later.
Appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay. So tools. So the next slide is conceptualized. Here are the tools that can help you. Envision is interactive prototypes, Figma, Sure prototypes for mobile apps, Sketch, vector tool for Mac for mobile apps, Adobe XD, design and proto tool with collaboration, proto.io, proto tool with animations, user testing. Is that Azure? Like Azure?
But it's not a Z, right? It's
yeah.
Azure.
Oh, that's...
Azure? I don't know.
Me neither. Desktop proto tool with conditional logic, Marvel web-based proto tool with user testing and collaboration, and balsamic, which is wireframes. Oh, okay.
It's not spelled right. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's missing, but I knew what it was. I knew what it meant. So validate. With market research, determine opportunity. With prototype, figure out cost. Show prototype to potential customers. And this is what Maggie was talking about earlier. This is where you're going to decide if you're going to pivot, punt, or proceed. Most people, as entrepreneurs and startups, will go through a few different versions before they land on one. So don't feel bad if you decide you need to pivot or punt. Ideal customer. Create a persona for your ideal customer. What's their demographic information, their behavioral information, and psychographic information. I think we had a few good examples of that. Maggie asked some questions to, I believe his name is Michael the jeweler, on who his demographic information is and for his ideal customer. And I believe he has two.
He does.
versions.
Yeah, he's a double-sided marketplace, so he has to do more than one persona. Most businesses are going to have more than one persona that they're selling to. They need to figure out who the ideal customer is. This is the person where you have the greatest chance of making a sale with them. And then you will have secondary and perhaps tertiary customers too that may be slightly different. But you need to hone in on your ideal customer. And the way you do that is by talking to your customers.
Just with the raise of hands online and in the room, do you guys have an idea of your ideal customer? Oh, do you have a question? Okay. So he does know he has an idea of his ideal customer. He just needs to understand who his ideal buyer is and will actually purchase the service. Okay.
Yeah, because you're doing more of an enterprise type sale. So, right. So you're talking to your ideal customer so that they create demand. But the person that you have to close is their boss or their boss's boss. Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't even think of that. So just a show of hands, people online, if you just want to raise your hand with your little raise hand guy. And in the room, do you guys kind of have an understanding of your ideal customer? No, none at all? Oh, do you? Okay. Some understanding. Okay, got it. Well, hopefully this, as we go through this journey together, you'll have a better understanding of your ideal customer. And these are some important questions to ask. I believe we're sharing these questions later on. We're going to email them to you guys to make sure you also have them so you can go out into the world and, ask your Uber driver,
Yeah, and there are about 5 people online that raised their hands.
Oh, good.
Or
so
said
we have
something.
some people that have done a little bit of
they know who
research.
their customers
Okay,
are.
perfect.
And David is pretty convinced that MGM should be his customer.
Listen, David, I am agreeing with you right now. Sure. Tam Sam Som is Maggie.
2 weeks from tonight.
2 weeks from tonight. And that is very important understanding your market. I don't know if you want to summarize, would you like to pitch what your course is about?
Okay, yeah, I'll pitch coming to the program in 2 more weeks. Once you have talked to your customers, then you need to know how big is the market? How much potential is there with this product? And so you're going to do research, and we'll have a resource available to you to help you do research from the UNLV. So the total addressable market is it's the whole world and everybody who could possibly buy your product. And then you're going to chunk it down into more understandable and smaller, shorter time horizon groups of customers. And then your SOM is your obtainable market, and that's a time-bound period. And that actually takes the most work because you're going to do a revenue projection for 3 to 5 years, 5 to 7 years, depending on what your product is. And that's your SOM. And so when you're pitching to investors, they are interested in the total addressable market, but they know that that's way down the line. The SAM, the addressable market, it limits the risk for them. So they understand okay, where are we going to go in the next 10 years? And your SOM, that's based on your marketing. And as I said to Michael, the jeweler, when you do that projection, you're going to have to figure out what it costs to advertise in each of your markets, because it's not the same. And so you have to there's so much work that goes into SOM. You have to know what your product line is, which one you make the most money on. You need to know where you're going to start in your market, what it's going to cost to advertise there, what's your second market, what's your third market, how many markets are you going to penetrate in the first 3 to 5 years? And so you have to think about all this stuff. And that's why SOM is really hard. So, and that's in 2 weeks. But in the meantime, we're giving you some help on different templates that are available so that you can create your customer personas.
So persona templates, HubSpot persona generator, Extensio free template, Tribute Media worksheets, Lucid Spark collaborative persona whiteboard, Adobe Express templates, Canva visual templates, and Miro templates.
These are mostly free.
And Tommy Technology here, I read through his persona and figured out Michael could sell him a ring, and then he's also looking to purchase a home.
But probably not a luxury home because his household income is only $125,000.
Maybe a luxury townhouse.
Yes.
Okay, so in summary, validate by framing the problem and creating questions, talking to potential customers, asking open-ended questions, refining the product based on feedback, researching the market, prototyping the product to get costs, demonstrating the product, asking more questions, and defining your ideal customer.
So next week, we'll have Tom Yates talking about business models and go-to-market strategies.
Oh, so next week, it's going to be about the same time. We would really love for everybody to come in person if you can to join us. I do think that, you know, gives us the opportunity to get to know each other, get to know the people in the room with you. You guys are on this journey together. You'll hear your other people in the room say something that may resonate with what you're trying to accomplish or do. And I really believe it's stronger as a group. We also do provide some mentorships. Audrey, who manages our mentorship programs, if you want to reach out, and we have different mentors that are experts in finance, experts in funding, experts in legal. So if you are looking for something like that as well, we do offer that. Just let us know and we can introduce you to Audrey and give her your information, or you hers, so you can reach out and find a good match for you. We do match based on what you're looking for and not just randomly. Okay, and I think that's it for tonight. If anybody has...
Mary Jane raised her hand.
Mary Jane raised her hand.
What? Mary Jane, go ahead. I've asked you to unmute, Mary Jane.
Yes, good evening. Just going back to the very beginning with the 25 or so people that you interview. Where did you find those 25 people? Did you stand outside Sephora, or how did you do that?
Oh, I did it. So interestingly enough, there is somebody that was in one of our cohorts doing something similar. But what they're trying to do is build a tool that they could actually sell to different makeup companies like Sephora and MAC. And so although Lancome has a makeup matching tool that's specifically created for their own app, this person has now created a tool that they'd like to provide as a service to other large makeup companies or sellers. And so and I had the most interesting conversation with this person because I'm one of their customers, absolutely, right? Like I said, I don't know how many weren't here, but it took me forever to find my perfect makeup.
And yet you're ready to jump ship again.
I kinda, but I mean, but I mean, as you know, your skin tone changes too, the more, you know, summer, winter, things like that. So once a year I'll have to do it. But that's how I learned about this person and what they're trying to do. And I think their demographic was women between like 18 to 30 something. So it was wide, but it's women that wear makeup, that love makeup. And Sephora, it matches pretty much Sephora's demographic, right? For people who purchase. So
Mary Jane, I think you were asking, like, where can you go to find 25 random people?
Yes.
Oh,
okay. So you're up in Reno, right? You're not
That's
down
right. That's right.
A convention?
Well, I would go to farmers markets on Saturday morning. There's the one at the Arts Center.
Right.
I would go to any of the pub crawls because they're so common in Reno.
Right.
Early though, although you might get more honest answers after a couple of hours and lots of beers.
Right.
Great conversation.
But there are the other festivals too. There's the Rib Festival. There's the did they have it last Saturday? The Columbus Day Spaghetti Feed.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. So I guess
So
what it is kind of just pick where there's a crowd, and a general crowd.
Right, and you saw one of the slides there, like if they're still interested, like because this can take a lot of time asking all these questions, but you want to start with the open-ended questions. And then if they're willing to spend more time with you, then you can present what your solution is, but you can't sell it. You just have to say, this is what I've come up with to try to solve this problem. What do you think about it?
Right, okay.
And do you think it does enough? And what else would you have it do? And do you think it would solve your problem? All those questions.
Right.
So you have to frame the problem first. And then if they're still open to talking to you, then you can say, well, this is what I came up with. What do you think of it? And most people want to be helpful, but you're asking all those open-ended questions so that you can get real feedback, because people don't want to hurt your feelings, even if you don't know them.
Right.
They're not your mom, so they're not going to say, oh, honey, that's wonderful.
Right.
Okay. Right. So you have to keep it, you're building rapport with the open-ended questions about the problem so that hopefully they'll be honest with you when you get to, well, this is what I think. What do you think?
Okay. Thanks, Maggie.
Sure.
I took it way left with that.
No, Logan, that was really interesting. Thank you.
But just in case anybody wants to buy makeup, I can tell you how to get it.
Thanks.
But any other questions from in the room or online before we end today? Oh, we got another question.
So the question is, when do we think a startup will fail? Or why it will fail?
Oh, there's a lot of
there's so many reasons. There can be a mismatch between the co-founders and they don't know it when they start off, but it's a really rough road. And so it can lead to a lot of conflict. And so but you probably know what the issues are going in. Okay, so she's saying that they have a product, they've done research, and she was going to present someplace, but they didn't quite qualify because their product was not minimum viable. Okay, so that's MVP. Okay, and by traction, people mean sales. Okay, they don't mean that you have a patent and that you have a prototype. They mean that you have gotten people to spend hard cash for your product.
Yes, or start up that campaign that they want to do with the crowdfunding that we are trying to do.
Crowdfunding,
yes.
Okay.
What I want to know is, I'm very confident about the product.
Okay.
Like, not overconfident, but I've done like good amount of research on this product, like for a very long time.
Okay,
And
is that
so-
research with books and databases, or is
No,
it research with
the very
people?
similar platforms that are already in the market, how I can make them better with my product, how it can help a specific group of people, how I can make it easier. Like, I've given myself, most of these questions are very similar to the questions
Good.
that I've answered. And after that, I was really confident, went through the whole legal team, everything is there. But at this point, we have no sales. We have no one actually starting a crowdfunding platform, right? Nobody's starting a campaign at this point because it's not live yet. The website isn't live yet.
Okay, so you're saying that you don't yet have a crowdfunding campaign because you don't have a website yet?
No, we have a website. It's
Okay.
just not going live. As in, you cannot go on it and start a campaign yet. The website is there. So we'll just kind of put a pause to it. I don't know the technical term.
Okay.
I can use. Where do you think, before I start this, where can my project go wrong?
Where can it go wrong?
Yeah. What are the
At
steps?
any point. It can go wrong at any point. You need customers.
Yeah.
So is your product something that you can give away samples to people to get them hooked? No?
I can for sure start a few bogus, I guess, campaigns just to see how the website works, how, it can connect to different hospitals, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, so if you're trying to connect to hospitals, it's more of an enterprise solution. Is that right?
It's basically a crowdfunding platform for healthcare. So anybody who has healthcare needs can send the money through that campaign, and it goes directly to the hospital for that particular patient, for that particular treatment. It doesn't go directly to the patient.
So for medical procedures. All right, so this sounds like a humanitarian type of project. So are you a nonprofit?
No, we're a business.
Oh,
Registered as business.
okay.
For profit, yeah.
So then you're taking a percentage of whatever people donate? How big a percentage?
Well, we'll get into details later.
Okay.
My legal team has suggested, since we haven't signed NDA, I shouldn't get into more details.
Okay. I would say if you're taking more than, since you didn't ask, if you're taking more than 10%, then people are going to be very reluctant to be donating money. You're not a charity, so they can't deduct it for taxes.
Yeah.
So they probably have an interest in the person that it's going to support with their medical care. What would be different from them just going to the hospital and saying, here's $10,000 for this person's care without having to give it to you?
Well, because it's not in America, it's for it's for another country. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's a little different. But I see potential problems where you could fail in a lot of places. There could be regulation that gets involved. If there's currency exchange, that could be difficult.
Well, they've signed a contract with the currency, with the carrier. I don't know the exact term, but we have a company that deals with money transfers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a regulatory company, and then we just in the middle of signing.
Yeah. And then you're going to have to be scrupulous about making sure that you're transparent with the money that comes in and the money that goes out, because your reputation will suffer if anything is not above board.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it seems like you've got a lot of details that you have to work out also with the hospitals on the other end. So even though you've got this intermediary that's going to take the money from the US or wherever, let's say the Northern Hemisphere, and send it to another country, at the other end, when they're giving it to the hospital, is there the potential for graft there?
Well, we have a compliance team.
Okay, well, that's what I would worry about. And I think as Americans, a lot of people, I was saying heads nod. It's like if you're taking more than 10%, people are not going to go for it. And then there's all these different points at which there could be graft, and it would be worrisome to people.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yes, Logan oh, by the way, that's Logan over there in the corner. We probably should have introduced ourselves. So my name is Rukshana. This is Logan. He has actually done my role until today, I think, with classes. So I'm going to get his feedback later. He's going to tell me, Rukshana, what are you doing? But it's and Maggie, of course. So Maggie Sailing is Jeff Sailing's better half. Sorry, Jeff. I love Jeff. Actually, I love them both. So Jeff has actually founded StartUpNV. Maggie is the chief of everything, is probably the best way to call her. She says operations, but it's the chief of everything. And she's very knowledgeable on, a lot of what we're doing, a lot of the programs and stuff she creates. My background came from the city of Las Vegas. I'm a director of IT for a publicly traded tech company. And that's what brought us here. We are very passionate about supporting our entrepreneurs and trying to do better than California. But yeah.
So for Fade to Stage, I have screenwriters interested. I know that there will be some interested screenwriters, but the problem right now I'm having is that I still need to do a lot of research and I can't pay actors right now. So it's kind of why I didn't want to launch. Now, of course, there's actors that say they do it for free, but I feel kind of crappy about doing that. And that's one of my main problems, like not having any capital to pay the actors to do this, That's like my main problem that I have about launching. So I'm kind of like.
So Logan, let me ask Logan, is there a school of performing arts at UNLV?
There is a school for performing arts at UNLV. So you're kind of stuck in the space that is kind of typically called the chicken or the egg problem. I need this to do this, but I can't get that without this. And that is how you're feeling right now is okay. That's entrepreneurship. This uncertainty, how will I do that? You may need to get tricky and figure out, okay, well, how do I approach this people, whether you join a Facebook group that want people to volunteer. They want to volunteer their time, and this might be a way for them to get those hours. And then you go approach the Performing Arts Center at UNLV. Maybe there's a professor there that wants to use it, engage with you and help you out with this opportunity, or screenwriters or organization that wants to help with that. Or maybe you get $500 and you get 50, or you get 10 $50 gift cards, and you go try and get these individuals to go and work with you to provide those. Maybe they're students and they want to test their metal out on this. There are a ton of different ways that you're going to need to consider about how can you get from point A to point B in developing this, and none of them will be easy, I promise. But you'll probably, when you know it, you'll probably make sense once you find the way to get there, and you'll feel like you struck gold. This is coming from a professional entrepreneur. That is just everything I've learned from all of my entrepreneur friends.
Oh, that actually sounds great. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? No?
No, that's it for me.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we're done for tonight. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week.